Okay, this is part 2 of the video for mole worksheet D. Mole worksheet D. Question 4. 80 gram of sodium hydroxide reacts with 36.5 gram of hydrochloric acid. Write the chemical equation. So you wouldn't know how to, you are not expected to write the chemical equation if you have not learned the chapter on acid and bases. Okay, so chemical equation, sodium hydroxide, it is NaOH plus hydrochloric acid, HCl. You would get a salt, NaCl plus H2O. Okay, so this is the chemical equation. Now, chemical equation is understood that it must be balanced. So is this balanced? Yes, this is balanced. Now for step 2, for part B, is to write the ionic equation. So again, in order to write the ionic equation, the first step is to have a balanced chemical equation with the state symbol. Now the state symbol, it is not required for part A, but I'll just add it in. So again, you wouldn't know the state symbol if you have not learned the chapter on acid and bases. This is actually liquid. Yeah. Okay, ionic equation. First step, balance chemical equation with state symbol. Done already. Second step is to split if it is AQ. So AQ, split. So when you split this, you should get Na plus OH minus. Okay, you don't get Na plus and then plus O2 minus plus H plus. It's not, because OH must always be together. It is hydroxide ion. H, there will be H plus. Cl, there will be Cl minus. And NaCl again, Na plus, Cl minus. H2O you do not split, so it is just H2O. The next step would be to, so this is step 2, you have split it already if it is AQ. The third step would be to remove the spectator ions, the ions that appear on both sides of the chemical equation. Na plus removed, Cl minus removed. So what is left is OH minus plus H plus H2O. So this is the answer for the ionic equation. Is it correct? No, it is not correct because the state symbol are not there. So you add in the state symbol. Is it correct? Yes, this is correct. This is the final answer for the ionic equation. Now for part C is to identify the limiting reactant and explain. Identify the limiting reactant. Again, we have to always look at the mole ratio. So mole ratio, what is the mole ratio? It says limiting reactant, right? So you only look at the reactants. The reactants in this case would be sodium hydroxide and HCl. So what is the mole ratio between sodium hydroxide and HCl? Based on the balanced chemical equation, it is 1 mole to 1 mole. So it is 1 mole to 1 mole. So the first row of the mole ratio will always be based on the balanced chemical equation. The second row of the mole ratio is always based on the information given in the question. 80 gram of sodium hydroxide. So you have to find out 80 gram of sodium hydroxide, what would be the mole? NaOH, that would be the number of mole of NaOH is mass, which is 80 gram, divided by the MR of NaOH. Na is 23, O is 16, H is 1. And that should give you 80 divided by, this is A, wait a minute, NaOH, right? N is 23, 16, there'll be 39, there'll be 40. Okay, NaOH is 40, and that would be 2 mole. Okay, number of mole of NaOH is 2 mole, so this is 2 mole. Then how about 36.5 gram of hydrochloric acid? So again, number of mole of HCl, that would be the mass, 36.5, divided by the MR for HCl, which is 1 plus 35.5, which is 1 mole. So this is 1 mole. Okay, so how do you see? So you just cover 1. The mole ratio is between sodium hydroxide and HCl is 1 mole to 1 mole, which means that if you have 2 mole of sodium hydroxide here, HCl should be this HCl should be 2 mole as well, but I only have 1 mole. Only 1 mole of HCl is used. So which means that HCl is not enough. Okay? 1 mole is to 1 mole, 2 mole should be to 2 mole, but I only have 1 mole. So HCl is the limiting reactant. Okay, for number 4, the HCl is the limiting reactant. So how do you explain? So you can just say according to chemical equation, 2 mole of NaOH needs, okay, 2 mole of NaOH would need 2 mole of HCl, needs 2 mole HCl to react. But how many mole of HCl do I have? I only have 1 mole. But only 1 mole HCl is available. Hence, HCl is limiting reactant. Alright? So HCl is the limiting reactant. Now, the last part of the question says calculate the mass of the salt formed. Now, the mass of the salt, actually this is the salt, NaCl. Okay, so again, look at the mole ratio. We want to find NaCl, right? Now remember, NaCl is one of the products. The amount of product always depends on the amount of limiting reactant. Excess reactant has no bearing on the product, has no effect. We have to look at the limiting reactant, which means that the limiting reactant we found in part C is HCl. So we have to look at these two. This is the product that we want to find, and the amount of product depends on the amount of limiting reactant, which is HCl. So the mole ratio will be HCl NaCl. So again, the first row, based on the balanced chemical equation, which is 1 mole is to 1 mole. Then, how many mole of HCl is being used? 36.5 gram. 36.5 gram of HCl is actually 1 mole. So 1 mole would be to 1 mole as well. Okay, which means that 1 mole of HCl is produced. So what would be the mass of, 1 mole of NaCl will be produced. So what would be the mass of 1 mole of NaCl? There will be 1 times the mR, which is 23 plus 35.5, which is 58.5 gram. So the moral of the story is, if we want to find the mass of the product, we have to look at the mole ratio between the product and the limiting reactant. Why limiting reactant? Because the amount of limiting reactant determines the amount of product. Last question. Identify the excess reactant. Explain. 24 gram of magnesium, so you have 24 gram. 36.5 gram of hydrochloric acid, 36.5 gram. These two. Look at the identify the excess reactant. We wouldn't know until we look at the mole ratio. So mole ratio between Mg and HCl. Mg is what? Mg is 24 gram. So what would be the number of mole of Mg? That would be 24 mass divided by the Ar, which is 24, which is 1 mole. So this is 1 mole. HCl is how much? Number of mole HCl, which is 36.5 divided by Mr for HCl. H is 1, Cl is 35.5, which is 1 mole as well. So this is 1 mole. Sorry. The first row, remember, see I make a mistake here. The first row is based on the balanced chemical equation, which is 1 mole is to 2 mole. 1 mole is to 2 mole. Then after that, the second row is based on the information given in the question, which is 1 mole is to 1 mole. So which one is excess reactant? So excess reactant, you can look at it in this way. 2 mole is to 1 mole. Okay, every 2 mole of HCl, you would need 1 mole of Mg. Okay, now, okay, I cover this. Now I have 1 mole of HCl. So by right, if you look at the ratio, 2 is to 1. 1 is to how many? 1 is to 0.5. But I have 1 mole. I need only 0.5 mole. 2 is to 1, 1 is to 0.5 mole. I only need 0.5 mole. But I have 1 mole now, which means that Mg is the excess. Okay? So again, the explanation part is the same. So you can say according to equation, 2 mole HCl needs 1 mole Mg to react. No, according to equation, 1 mole, okay, 1 mole HCl need 0.5 mole Mg to react. Okay, just how we say 2 is to 1, 1 is to 0.5. So 1 mole of HCl, okay, 1 mole of HCl needs 0.5 mole of Mg to react. But 1 mole Mg is available. 1 mole of Mg is available. So what is available is more than what is needed. Hence, Mg is excess reactant. Okay? Mg is excess reactant. Another way you can look at it is to cover this 1 mole. See, 1 mole is to 2 mole, which means 1 mole is to 2 mole. But I only have 1 mole here. See, I need 2 mole, I only have 1 mole, which means that HCl is limiting reactant. If HCl is limiting, Mg will be excess. So either way, you cover this or you cover this, you will reach the same conclusion. Either way, you reach the same conclusion, which is Mg is the excess reactant. You understand or not? I hope you do. Now is the last part. Calculate the volume of hydrogen produced, hydrogen form. See the volume of hydrogen. Hydrogen is one of the products. Again, it's back to the concept that the amount of product is determined by the amount of limiting reactant. Which one is the limiting reactant? Mg is the excess, right? So HCl is the limiting reactant. Meaning that you have to look at HCl, and H2. So look at the mole ratio between HCl and H2. HCl 2 mole, H2 is 1 mole. So this is 2 mole, this is 1 mole. Okay, first row based on the balanced chemical equation. Second row based on the information given in the question. So information given 36.5 gram. 36.5 gram is 1 mole. 1 mole. So this one will be how many? 2 mole is to 1 mole. 1 mole will be to 0.5 mole. Which means that 0.5 mole of hydrogen is formed. But the question wants volume. So volume of hydrogen would be 0.5 times 24. Because 1 mole is 24 dm cube. 0.5, there will be 0.5 times 24. There will be 12 dm cube. Okay, so this question is based on the concept that amount of product is determined by the amount of limiting reactant. Limiting reactant, we found it in part A. See, for this kind of questions, there are multiple parts. The part, let's say for part B, you have to use the answers for part A in order to do it. So this is a characteristic of questions with multiple parts. All the parts are related, which means that if you get one part wrong, then the subsequent parts would be wrong as well. But then again, you will not be penalized twice. If you make a mistake here in part A, you'll be penalized in part A. If you use the answer from part A to do part B, that will not be penalized. But of course, your answer will be wrong. but it would not be there would not be a double penalty. That would conclude the More Worksheet D. Bye bye.